Hi everyone, and welcome to Storytime with Kate. Have you ever wondered what is postmodernism as an early childhood theory? Let me explain, like I did with a video about critical pedagogies and critical theory. You probably have heard this term postmodernism when it comes to movies, books, or any artifacts of culture. The key idea of postmodernism in early childhood education and care including is that there is no single truth in the world. Because this sounds very familiar, you might think, post-structuralism and postmodernism quite often are put together in one chapter in early childhood education textbooks. But there are differences, and the differences are related to this single universally correct approach and truth. Let me explain. Let's look at one thing that you probably understand quite well as early childhood educators and teachers: learning. So you have your own understanding of learning, which probably is based on all the literature and research that you've done, your experiences, your personal upbringing. But there is also learning that is important within local context. According to Gray, Shaba and Canella, 2001, learning cannot be interpreted through the single truth lens. So there is no single pathway of development for every child, and no one set of appropriate practices for every child. Basically, it's something that I talked with yesterday with the director of Early Childhood Service, Jody. She said that all children learn differently. That's why learning theories is useful at some level. But at the same time, like postmodernists, they argue that when educators work non-critically with modern truths of predetermined milestones and outcomes and simplistic outcomes, they are being naive. And that's not my quote. This is a quote by Glenda McNaughton, who is an expert in different theories and approaches, an Australian lecturer. You can read her book that is dated back to 2003. Local context, their knowledge, their identity, ways of learning, social, cultural, and historical contexts. Let me give you an example. This recognizes learning as unique, dynamic, and contradictory in a culturally diverse world. And I will give you an example from my practice. I used to learn piano using Russian traditional piano school approach, which would involve a lot of drills. I learned the music quite well, but I lost passion for music making for a long time. It didn't encourage me to improvise. It just taught me how to be good at scales, adagios, how to practice every day. Working hard, you will achieve skills level of what's required at the end of the music school, but I lost the passion for music, which I had to rekindle 19 years after I finished the Postmodern theorists talked about few concepts such as habitus, social capital, and discourse. So let's start with habitus. It's one of the terms that I've learned in 2010 when I got enrolled into Monash University to do my early childhood degree, which was my second degree, and I dived into books and I was reading a lot. This was something new for me, unfamiliar, as I was studying classical philosophy with few books that talked about modern philosophies, and of course postmodernism was quite known to me, but I didn't know what habitus was. So as children engage, and I'm quoting Arthur and others, as children engage in the practices of their family, they develop particular ways of thinking, valuing, and acting that they use as they move across contexts such as home and school. As an early childhood educator or educator in making, you probably have seen it. When children come to your centers, they behave the way that they are taught at home. For example, some children would pack up, and some children would even want to clean because that's what they do at home. Other children would not and would refuse to do it because they are not doing it at home. Some children are running around a lot, and for them structure of kindergarten room is a bit alien, so they might take some time to transition between two contexts. But habitus describes basically all the practices of this particular family and the ways of thinking, values, and acting out of behavior. The next idea is social capital. Each child has this social capital, all the relationships, friendships, and social networks that provide them with support as children and individuals. Some children go to church, some children go to the temple, some children go to the community playgroup or bush kinder playgroup. Other children don't go anywhere apart from the library where they catch up with their friends. And some children attend different services or even parents' business place of business and work. So the social capital, of course, would be different. If you remember critical theories, Pierre Bourdieu talked about cultural capital, which is slightly different. Yes, so and I'm not gonna delve into it, but remember that social capital is important for postmodern theory. You need to take it into account when you observe children. Let's use habitus in the context. Children habitus involves family practices with internet, television, TikTok, computer games, because they will differ. Some children will come to your service and they do not use that at home, like my niece. She is not allowed to use, or she can only use it in moderation. While other children will come to your service fully equipped with mass media influence, TikTok influence, and even the language they picked up from TikToks. This will impact the way they learn, the way you teach, the way they react to your curriculum, but definitely something that you need to add to your observations because that's important. Now let's delve into the concepts of postmodern theories. Family and community are considered to be those contexts for child's development and learning. You probably would agree with that. Whatever child is doing at home when they're growing up, case in point, my neighbor, which I hear through the fence, every day he waters the plants with his little baby girl. They speak Hindu, which I don't understand, but they communicate a lot. There is also an older sister, and when they get together, they run around, they ride little bicycles, tricycles, and they talk about plants probably. I don't know. But they also like to play with a ball, and once the ball with bluey on it ended up on my on my side. So which really tells me a lot about how they are growing in this diverse multicultural society with a strong influence of their family and community. Another example that will help you to understand postmodernist theories or postmodernism is dichotomy. Dichotomy is a concept that you probably know of. It's about appropriate, not appropriate, safe, unsafe, right, wrong. So these are the dichotomies. And in this way, we have some very limited beliefs about what morning tea should look like, what circle time should look like, what is appropriate, what is inappropriate behavior for preschoolers or in groups or for toddlers. Postmodern theory challenges this taking for granted assumptions and challenges privileged positions that we are in. For example, that all children should speak English. That was the first thing they started to discuss. They were children who were coming, let's say, to Australia and they didn't speak English. They were speaking their home languages. But quite often back then, educators would say they have no language, which is not true. They do have language. It's their home language. It could be sign language. It could be the way they communicate, but it's not English. So this invites a range of perspectives that are possible instead of one single truth. With all this understanding of what cultural capital is, linguistic capital and social capital and habitus, now, what does it mean for us as early childhood educators and teachers? It means that in early childhood settings, there are disparities. So, in other words, different capital is valued. So, that's something that you probably do not always notice, but it could be that classroom curriculum or the program that the council-based center is following is valuing some knowledge and not valuing others. I'll give you an example. Typical from long day care where I went, they were learning second language in addition to English, and this language was Spanish. When I asked whether it is reflecting linguistic capital of children and families who attend the service, none of the educators was able to answer. When I visited another service, I clearly could see that a lot of children talked between each other, used Mandarin, and I asked educators what languages children speak in your center. They looked at children, and I'm talking about babies' room and toddlers' room, and educators were confused. They talked to each other, they didn't know. So that means that English-speaking linguistic capital is valued, while the linguistic heritage and linguistic capital and social capital of these children who are speaking Cantonese, Mandarin, is not valued. So some families and children are in this way privileged over others, and some children are disadvantaged. Another good example that you probably will be able to relate to as you watch this video close to New Year or any other celebration, let's say Christmas time, when it's a lot of celebrations. And I've been to a private school, you'll see they have a lot of prompts and provocations that encourage children to do Christmas, right? So Christmas related activities. While for most communities it would be part of their social capital and cultural capital, unfortunately for other children and families it wouldn't be the case. So what does it mean for us as educators? Are we privileging some parents and families and children and disadvantaging others? For example, Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander children, or children who do not celebrate Christmas, like for religious spiritual beliefs, they are different. Another concept that I want you to know as well is discourse. Discourse is part of postmodern theory. It's socially constructed ways of being, speaking, feeling, acting that represent particular values and worldviews. Discourse often impacts the way we see teaching, the way we see learning, and the way we plan our curriculum. Because in early childhood education and care, discourses are quite sticky, so they stay for a long time. If you want to use postmodern theory in your practice, you will be using a lot of questioning. You will be challenging assumptions. You will be looking at one event like Christmas or Night Dog Week or crafts from multiple perspectives. That's a very important part of understanding postmodernism in practical terms. As an early childhood educator, you also will be reflecting on your practice, which is similar to critical theories, of course. And you will be questioning your own habitus, how it impacts your delivery of the program. You will be thinking about children's linguistic capital and how you can incorporate it into your program. And you will consider how you can invite the multiple truths about many events that are happening in early childhood education and care. So you would try to avoid telling children there is only one way. I hope this little video made it a little bit clearer on what postmodernism is. If you want to delve a little bit deeper, I recommend Glenda McNaughton books, Shaping Early Childhood Curriculum, which I've read 14 years ago, and I highlighted every word. It was really enlightening. So I encourage you to read this book. You also can find a lot of information in other textbooks, such as Programming and Planning in Early Childhood Settings by Arthur and others, which I always recommend. You can find it on my list of Amazon preferred books. Yeah, so I do have my influencer account, so I'll link it in the description below. And if you are really keen to learn more about theories and theorists, check out my Theory and Theories pack. You can download it from Payhip. It doesn't cost a nominal egg, and I hope you will learn a lot. Let's continue this conversation. What new other theories should I make a video on?